Welcome to Global Facts. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. Why are there not more people talking about China's bold move to halt American chip imports and what it means for the future of global technology? In a stunning move that has left the world reeling, China has slammed the door on American semiconductor imports, sending a clear message to the global tech industry. The impact was immediate, sending shockwaves through the global economy and rattling financial markets from New York to Tokyo. As of October 2025, Beijing's sweeping directive has halted the flow of these critical components, freezing billions of dollars worth of trade overnight and leaving shipments stranded at ports. This move marks a dramatic escalation in the US-China tech rivalry, turning a simmering competition into an all-out confrontation. This isn't just a trade dispute, it's a bold declaration of technological independence as China signals its intent to chart its own course in the digital age. The world is now being forced to choose sides, as nations and corporations navigate a new digital Cold War that threatens to split the global tech ecosystem in two. American chip giants like Nvidia and Intel face catastrophic losses, with their access to the world's largest market suddenly cut off and their future growth in jeopardy. Meanwhile, Chinese tech firms scramble to adapt, racing to redesign products and develop homegrown alternatives in a world without US components. Global supply chains, once seamless and efficient, are now fractured and unpredictable, as companies everywhere struggle to secure vital parts and keep production lines moving. The world is witnessing a redrawing of the map of power and influence for the 21st century, as new alliances form and old partnerships are tested. The world is holding its breath. This standoff is about more than silicon. It's about who will write the rules for the future of technology, commerce, and even global security. The decisions made in Washington and Beijing now will shape not just the technological landscape, but the very balance of power for decades to come. The roots of today's crisis stretch back nearly a decade, when the seeds of rivalry were quietly sown amid growing economic competition and mutual suspicion. As China's technological ambitions accelerated, the US grew increasingly anxious over the speed and scale of this rise, fearing the loss of its long-held dominance in critical sectors like semiconductors. Washington responded by shifting from open trade to a policy of technological containment, blacklisting Chinese tech giants like Huawei and restricting the sale of advanced chips and manufacturing equipment. American firms scrambled to adapt, designing weaker chips for the Chinese market, but every workaround was quickly met with even tighter US controls and Beijing's growing resentment at being boxed in. As official channels closed, smuggling and black markets flourished, deepening mistrust and convincing China's leaders that reliance on US technology was a critical vulnerability that could threaten national security. The trade war escalated dramatically in April 2025, with steep tariffs on both sides, sending shockwaves through global markets. A fragile truce, set to expire in November, has only heightened tensions and uncertainty. Feeling increasingly cornered, Beijing saw breaking free from American technology as its only viable strategy, pouring resources into homegrown innovation and rallying its tech sector to achieve self-sufficiency. The result? An abrupt, sweeping halt to US chip imports, sending shockwaves through supply chains and leaving factories scrambling for alternatives. This is the culmination of years of strategic chess moves, now erupting into open economic warfare, with both sides unwilling to back down. The world is witnessing the unraveling of decades of technological interdependence, as the global order is reshaped by the fierce struggle for chip supremacy. In September 2025, China's Cyberspace Administration ordered tech giants like ByteDance and Alibaba to cancel all Nvidia chip orders immediately. This was no suggestion. It was a command to end reliance on American innovation. By October, customs agents launched a nationwide crackdown, inspecting and halting all advanced semiconductor shipments at major ports. Billions in components were stranded, and authorities began investigating past imports for smuggling or mislabeling. Beijing's message was clear: all channels for US chips, legal or illicit, were being sealed off. The crackdown was swift, coordinated, and left no doubt about China's resolve. This wasn't just a reaction to US pressure. It was a proactive, disruptive reshaping of China's tech landscape. The era of partial restrictions is over. China is all in on technological self-sufficiency. China's chip ban is a calculated pivot, not desperation. For years, Beijing has poured over $150 billion into building a self-reliant semiconductor industry, aiming for 70% chip self-sufficiency by 2027. The strategy: rapidly scale domestic production, close the performance gap, and redirect resources to national champions like SMIC and HiSilicon. China is also investing in talent, research, and innovation, hoping to create a virtuous cycle fueled by its massive tech market. Leaders are willing to endure short-term pain for long-term security and global leadership. This is about building a fortress of silicon, ensuring China can never again be contained by foreign tech gatekeepers. The global balance of power is shifting, one chip at a time. China's chip blockade is hammering US tech giants. Nvidia alone lost billions in sales, sending shockwaves through the entire semiconductor sector. The loss of the Chinese market threatens American R&D and long-term innovation, creating a vicious cycle of decline. In Washington, hardliners claim victory, but business leaders warn the policy has backfired, accelerating China's self-sufficiency. The Trump administration faces a dilemma: escalate the trade war or seek compromise as the November truce deadline looms. Economic pain and political pressure are mounting, with Treasury officials accusing China of economic blackmail. The administration is caught between national security and the prosperity of its most innovative industries. There are no easy answers, only high stakes and hard choices. China's chip ban has shattered the global tech supply chain, disrupting everything from smartphones to industrial equipment. Companies worldwide, Japanese, Korean, European, are caught in the crossfire, facing cancelled orders and production chaos. The scramble to find alternative manufacturing hubs is costly and slow, with no easy replacement for China's scale and expertise. The world is shifting from a single, integrated market to fragmented, regionalized supply networks. Innovation is at risk as collaboration falters and incompatible tech standards emerge. For consumers, this means higher prices, fewer choices, and devices that may not work across borders. The Great Decoupling is fundamentally reshaping the global economy. The chip war is just one front. China has also weaponized agriculture, halting all U.S. soybean purchases since May 2025. This move targets American farmers, a key political base, sending soybean prices plummeting and silos overflowing. The Trump administration is preparing a $10 billion bailout, funded by tariffs, to offset the pain. The cycle is vicious. Tariffs trigger retaliation, which hurts domestic industries, requiring more subsidies. The broader tariff war has reignited, revealing deep interdependence even as both sides try to decouple. Beijing strikes at America's agricultural heartland, while Washington targets China's tech future. The November truce deadline looms, with both sides probing for leverage. The fates of U.S. farmers and Chinese tech firms are now tightly linked in this high-stakes drama. Experts agree, China's move is undeniably risky, but also highly strategic, representing a calculated response to years of mounting U.S. pressure and restrictions. This is not a sudden escalation, but rather the culmination of a long-simmering rivalry that has shaped global technology for years. Many analysts argue that American containment efforts have only accelerated China's push for technological self-sufficiency, transforming it into a more determined and innovative rival. The drive to develop homegrown solutions is now seen as a matter of national pride and survival. The U.S. tech industry is deeply divided. Some leaders warn that isolating China could backfire, while others insist it's a necessary defense to protect American interests and maintain a technological edge. Chinese voices frame the import halt as a defensive measure, not an act of aggression, emphasizing their desire for equality, security, and a level playing field in the global tech arena. Globally, the era of frictionless tech trade is over. Nations and companies must now navigate a world where they are increasingly forced to choose sides in a new, rapidly emerging bipolar order. Strategic decisions about alliances, technology standards, and manufacturing locations are more critical than ever, as every choice now carries significant geopolitical weight. The world is splitting into two distinct technospheres, and every player, whether a nation, company, or individual, must eventually pick a side or risk being left behind. This historic bifurcation will define the international landscape for a generation, shaping the future of innovation, trade, and global power. We stand at the dawn of a new era, a world divided by a digital iron curtain. The US and its allies face off against a China determined to chart its own technological destiny. The November truce deadline is a critical inflection point. Will there be compromise or deeper conflict? The real test is whether China's domestic chip industry can deliver. Success would cement the new order. Failure could force Beijing back to the table. For businesses, it's time to build resilient regional supply chains. For governments, to make tough strategic choices. The great decoupling has begun, and the challenge is to manage its consequences while keeping lines of communication open. The future of global technology and the world economy hangs in the balance.